following is the first Christopher Nolan movie. And this year I wanted to review all of Christopher Nolan's movies. But we are going to do this a little bit differently than you might expect. So I am not going to talk about Oppenheimer because I already did a video on that. And even if I didn't already do a video on it, I would probably still review it. But it is a movie that's overly talked about because it's so recent, things like that. And, so... and then I'm not going to talk about the Nolan Batman movies just because when 2027 hits, I want to do all the Batman movies. Not all the, animated ones that are released direct to video, but, at least all the, main Batman movies, the two Michael Keaton ones, Val Kilmer's one, George Clooney one, and then do the Nolan trilogy and all that stuff. So that is what I want to do next year. So I don't want to touch the Nolan Batman movies. But the rest of Christopher Nolan's movies, I am down to do reviews for. Today we're starting with, I think, one of his most interesting movies, but also one of his worst movies. And I say worst movies, not as a demeaning attribute about it, because this is a movie where you do see Christopher Nolan's talents on display, but there's also a lot of flaws with this movie. This is one of the smallest budgets, apparently, in history for a theatrical movie release, maybe ever. Now, I don't know if that was a movie, fact a few years ago, so I don't know if that remains still true with stuff like Terrifier and releases, but I'm imagining it's somewhere in that list. This movie is about this guy who likes following people, and then this other guy catches him following people. Is like, hey, you like doing this? Well, why don't we start sneaking into other people's houses and stealing stuff and seeing what we can find? So it's a very interesting movie, diving into some kind of psychological things of the psyche of some people and what it means to examine people. And it leads to a very interesting movie that is just not fully formed. First of all, this movie is an hour and 10 minutes. It is told in different pieces or acts that I don't think quite work. It takes a while to get really engaged with the flow of the movie, and by the time you do, it's like the movie's so close to being over that you're just already kind of zoned out. The performances are pretty good. There isn't really too much to be said about the cinematography here, but it's not bad. But there's a couple fight choreography sequences that don't work the best because it's clearly first time people's film. So I don't know. It's a movie that I think if you've seen Memento, going back and watching this movie, that's kind of the guy who made that movie kind of forming. That is the only reason I recommend this to you. I recommend this to big Christopher Nolan fans who want to see everything he does or kind of see things like that. If you're one of those people who watches short films from directors you love before they start actually making major films, that is kind of what this is like, and I only recommend it to diehard cinephiles. If you do get that, I recommend this Criterion release because it did not have a Blu-ray release before this release, and they actually cleaned up so much of the audio and a lot of the stuff within this movie to actually make it more understandable, because apparently I had a lot of issues with that, and people thought it would never see a Blu-ray release. And it's a pretty nice release. I got this for $20. And if you are going to be able to buy this movie, this is the way to do it with all the special features, and which there isn't a ton of on this release, but it's there's a good amount of it. But very good release of this movie. But I recommend this movie if you're a big Christopher Nolan fan. If you're not a big Christopher Nolan fan, this is not the movie for you. I really can't recommend it because it's not enough formed of a movie to really work. Let me know your thoughts, like, share, and subscribe.